So my teacher wanted me to be a good minister, and I have to tell you, I've been in the ministry now for 65 years, and I didn't turn out too bad. But he said this: 3 things you gotta watch if you want to be a great minister. Number 1, the enticing beauty of women. Number 2, the lust for filthy lucre, or riches received and gotten by unclean means. And 3rd, watch out for poverty, because these 3 are the great trials of ministers. When you represent God, the female is not the woman of man. She's the woman of God. So when we stand up in his name and preach his word with the wisdom and strength and commitment and spirit of that word, the women of God adore the man of God. They love the man of God. They desire to be a friend to the man of God. But the man of God must never take advantage of the wonderful love showered upon us by the women of our congregation and the women of our following. Because if we break this principle and fall victim to the enticing beauty of a woman, then our ministry is on a trajectory down. The second principle, lust for filthy lucre. Because when we are men of God in a wicked society, the wicked society wants to use the man of God for a purpose that is not necessarily of God. So if politicians see value in you, be careful that they don't offer you something that will corrupt you in your ministry for Jesus the Christ. In my young days in the ministry, I was very careful for people giving me things. Sometimes they mean so well, and sometimes they'll give you a gift to gain a measure of control. One thing about a servant of God, he must only be controlled by God and the discipline of Jesus Christ. And the third thing that we must watch for is poverty. I don't know that as ministers we take a vow of poverty. But when you are poor, destitute of those things that will allow you to live a good life in front of the people, as an example of what Christ does for those who are good shepherds. But when God tries you with poverty, that's your big test. because you won't always find in your ministry that you're well off. And when you are not as well off as you thought you would be by being a minister, Jesus Christ said, don't worry about your bread. Don't worry about your coat. Your coat is out there with the people. Your bread is out there with the people. The house that you may want is out there with the people. And if you are a good fisher of men, Peter said, catch the fish, you find in their mouth a coin. You take that coin. Be sure to give some to Christ first. And second, for yourself. A good pastor is a good pastor whether he has money or not. Because we didn't come into the ministry to get rich. We didn't come into the ministry to have all the fine things of life. But if you minister well and go through the trials that every minister must go through, you will have the best that the world has to offer, and you have the promise of the hereafter and the riches in the kingdom of God.